Hello, welcome to our March 2021's PS Plus roundup. There were 4 games this month. These were Final Fantasy VII Remake, Remnant from the Ashes, Maquette, and Farpoint. So a lot of games. Let's just jump in with Final Fantasy VII Remake. So Final Fantasy VII Remake is developed by Square Enix and was released April 2020, which is like not that long ago. It's a relatively new game. It's like a year old. Under a year old. For a AAA title, that's like quite wild that we've got this on PS Plus. It is a remake of the 1997 original Final Fantasy VII, but it's only like part of that game. It's gonna come out in 3 parts, I believe, to tell the full story plus more, I guess, of the original game. So I was a bit confused at first why we were getting such a massive game this month, and I thought, oh, maybe it's because we're like PlayStation are competing with Game Pass and stuff like this. And I was thinking, like, I know that there's other Final Fantasy games like up and coming, like Final Fantasy 16 and like the part 2 of the Final Fantasy 7 remake, but I didn't know like any release dates or anything like that. It didn't seem like there was anything soon. So I was like, that's interesting that we are getting this for free, essentially. So it then did get announced that they are doing like an upgrade for PS5. It's not a remake, it's not a remaster, it's just, don't even know how to explain it. It's just like an upgrade, like a PS5 upgrade. And people that own the game on PS4 already get the upgrade for free. And there is also additional content, which I'm pretty sure anyone has to pay for, like, I guess kind of like DLC. So that all sounds like really good. However, the PS Plus version of Final Fantasy VII Remake is not included in this thing. So if you get this, you will not be able to upgrade to the PS5 version and get the additional content. You will have to buy the full-on PS5 game, or I guess the PS4 game, and upgrade that. It's all very strange. I guess I kind of understand that, like, they want people to still buy the game new, I guess. But it also is a bit like, oh, here's the game, but you can't have this new stuff that we've just announced. It's a bit strange. But then also, when I looked a bit deeper into it, I was looking because this is currently PlayStation exclusive. And it turns out that, like, that is obviously just a timed thing. And that runs out soon. It was exclusive until 2021. Like, the internet kind of said March. Now it's saying April. I don't think it's known for sure when. But it's not going to be PlayStation exclusive forever, from what I've read. So I wonder if that's a move by Sony as well. To be like, right, well, we're losing it soon. Let's give it to everyone on our console. Before they lose it. Not lose it, but, you know, lose the exclusivity. So again, I can understand why they've done that. And I'm not complaining, because it's really cool to get a game like that. I've never played a Final Fantasy game, except for dabbling in 14, the MMO. And I didn't know what to expect, so it was really nice to be able to jump in and get an idea what it's actually about. So now that I've just, like, talked about stuff surrounding the game, I'll actually talk a little bit about the game.
Don't think so.
Like I say, I didn't have any idea what to expect really, except for I'd seen a lot of hype when it came out. And like, I've seen a lot of screenshots of all the characters, but I didn't have any character behind them, if that makes sense. I didn't know how they were going to act or what they were like. I knew the main character's name was Cloud, and I knew he had a giant sword, and that was it. And spiky hair. So it was really cool to jump in and like, instantly, I was kind of blown away. Like, the production value is so high. The opening cutscene, like, it's like a movie. It's unbelievable how good it looks. Like, it is full on. I just thought I was watching a movie. And that was like consistent throughout the cutscenes. It was really cool. So the story seems like it's kind of going down an environmental route, which is kind of a cause that I can also get behind, and I really like that that's what it's about. Obviously, I would need to play more. I only played the first chapter, but it has like made me want to play more, which is really cool. And already, like, it was cool doing the mission that we did, and then it was cool the way that it ended as well. It's kind of liked everything so far about the story. that I experienced. The characters were like maybe, I wonder if I would grow to love them type of thing, but I had a bit of a rivalry with one, but that's okay. Like, they're memorable, so again, it's something where I want to play more. I want to find out more about them. The gameplay itself is interesting, so they like, there's different difficulties when you begin, like as in most games, and one of them is like classic, where they put the combat on easy mode and you can just use a certain part of combat, so you just use tactics, and that is to like cater for people, because the original game was turn-based and this one is not. This one is like real time with pause type of thing, kind of, which I actually found quite tricky, but it was also very cool. But it's nice that they have the option that if you don't want to do, because you can also, there's regular combat as well where you are like mashing square or whatever. It's nice that basically if you are here just to see what they've done with the remake and you're not interested in that kind of combat, you can just play classic mode where you mainly get to focus on the attacks, the like tactical attacks. I can't remember what the name is, and then the game takes care of the rest for you. So that's really good that they've done that option. Otherwise though, they have kind of updated it to try and, I guess, modernize it. I'm not sure, but for me it was cool. I like turn-based combat, so I don't really know, but yeah, I don't really know how they could have done it in this way though, to keep the flow going the way that it does during this game, because the game just flows really well. It doesn't stop. Like, you're just doing things and then you do a bit of combat and then you keep going, but it's not like stop and start, you know what I mean? Or at least that's how I felt. I enjoyed looking around as well, because like restocking on my little potions and stuff, and then it ended with a boss fight which I managed to do, and I just feel like the whole first chapter was a really good intro into what I would be getting myself into if I'm playing the rest of the game, and that's really good to me. I like that. I played a lot of demos in my time so far, and I know that it's not a demo, it's a chapter 1, but it feels like a really good chapter 1 to me. So yeah, this is a game that I would like to continue, but I'm just going to do it in my own time, because like, I am not good at these games and it's a long game, and I don't think anyone would enjoy watching me try and like get through this game, but I think it's something what I could enjoy on my own, so I'm gonna do that. I think very, very good PS Plus game to start the month with. Very impressed. The second game is Remnant from the Ashes. It is developed by Gunfire Games and it was released in August 2019. It's an action role-playing third-person shooter, apparently, is what the internet says. So yeah, I would say that's right. And I had read that it is Dark Souls with guns. I don't know how much I agree with that though. There was some Souls similarities, yeah. But I felt like there was enough differences that it's like, I wouldn't instantly say this game is like Souls. Like, you can't say if you like the Souls games, you will like this game. There is enough differentiating it, in my opinion. Especially a lot of the core things that make the Souls games. Like, well, I'll get onto it. One of the main differences is that this can be played fully in co-op. I think that's probably also one of the main attractions of this game. I've seen people try and play like Souls or Bloodborne in co-op and it's really awkward. And I think that people would really like the ability to be able to play these types of games co-op with friends if they want to. So that's like a big plus for this game, in my opinion, is that you can just play the whole game in co-op after you finish the tutorial, which I think is super nice. You can also play it solo, you don't have to play it co-op. I think it plays just the same. I just think it would be, if you got someone that likes these kind of games and you have fun playing with, I think it'd be more fun. But I mean, that can be said with any game, but the option being there is super nice to me. So this game is like set in a post-apocalyptic world. You kind of end up in trouble and you get rescued by these people and they take you to their facility, their like hideout, and you help them a bit there and then you get set loose onto the world. And that's the setup of the game, really. There is quite a lot of story. Like, I was a bit surprised because when I heard it was like Souls, I didn't expect there was going to be full-on cutscenes with full-on characters. You have conversations with them. I think there was dialogue options, I'm pretty sure. And like it was very full-on normal cutscene-y, in-your-face story. So that is where it really differentiates from Souls. It was cool finding out the backstory of this place that we were and finding out a bit more about the world. I liked that it seemed like it was going to be like a hub area that you can come back to. It was a long opening section, it was a long tutorial, but we eventually got there. And you get introduced to like the crystal system, which is kind of like the bonfire system. So again, with the similarities to Souls, and that allows you to like, I guess it refreshes, like replenishes your stuff. I don't know if it respawns enemies. So I only made it to one crystal. I know you respawn there if you die. I never found out if like you lose stuff and then you have to go and reclaim it, because I only died once at the end. So I'm not sure, but the guns do play a bigger part in this game. You can choose from like 3 different builds of person basically, and they have different weapons, and you have like a melee weapon and a gun. Depending on what you chose, these do different things. Like you might be a closer range one, you might be a further range one, like type thing. And I found the controls to be a little bit tricky. I don't know if that's just me, but right here was my niggle. So you press, I guess it's L2 to aim your gun, that's normal. R2 to fire it, that's normal. But sometimes an enemy would be coming at me and I just wanted to shoot. And so I would press R2, but that is also your like heavy attack on your melee weapon. So sometimes I would be like, I didn't want to aim, I just wanted to shoot from the hip type of thing. And I would then swing my weapon when the enemy wasn't like quite in the right direction or something. And I found that very tricky to get. Well, I didn't get the hang of it at all. And there was just other things that felt a little bit off, like the movement was a bit, I don't really know why, but there's something about the movement that I didn't really like. That doesn't mean that that's a game thing, that could just be me. I also wasn't too keen on the whole atmosphere. Like, I feel like the post-apocalyptic setting is not my setting. I don't find it that interesting. I didn't find the enemies that interesting. I didn't really feel any incentive to want to explore or, you know, help these people really. Which I guess doesn't matter to some people and matters more to others. For me, it's a thing that matters, so it kind of makes me struggle to want to play a game. The other thing that's different about this game is that it has some random generation. Like, I don't know how procedural it is. I know that basically you can do a couple of playthroughs and they'll have different things, but I'm not exactly sure where the differences lie. Like, I don't know if the levels are procedural or if it's just which bosses you get or where the placement of the enemies is and stuff. I'm not sure. Which, in one hand, is like, can be cool. I know people use randomizers and stuff on Dark Souls. However, to me, it was more of a detriment because it made the world feel less handcrafted. Like I say, I don't even know if enemy spawning is procedural or not, but when I was playing, I was getting attacked sometimes by enemies that I hadn't seen was there, even though I'd just been to that place. It just kind of felt like they were spawning anywhere, and I didn't like that. Like, I think I much prefer just the handcrafted. Like, it's a feeling, isn't it, where the world feels like it was made to trick you and stuff like that, whereas this didn't feel like that. This felt like, oh, did those enemies just spawn right behind me? That feels like bullshit. So, I don't know. Again, a lot of these things could just be me, but I just felt very observant about the similarities and differences between Souls, even though the game never asked for that. But it's really hard to not do that. This game was free on Epic a while ago, so it's not like the biggest surprise that we have got it on PS Plus. And I'm happy that we got it, actually. Like, these are the games that I like to try once and then never again, which is fine. Like, and I think that's what PS Plus is great for. That's why I love it anyways. Like, I can try these games and then never play them again if I don't want to, but then the odd one I will play the full game. Which actually leads nicely onto our next game, which is called Maquette. Maquette is developed by Graceful Decay. It's published by Annapurna, and it was actually just released this month on PS Plus for the first, like, its launch was on PS Plus, which is really nice. Although it is, you can get it on PC too, but obviously we got it without subscription, so we didn't need to pay any extra. Maquette is a puzzle game that plays with, not perspective, it has really interesting mechanics. It is very trippy. I found it a little bit mindfucky, but in a good way. And it's like the most unique puzzle game I've ever played. I've been like playing a few, not like a ton, but I've been playing a few first person puzzle games since the last year or so, catching up on a lot that I missed and like newer ones that I'd found and stuff. And I think this is like my favourite. What was unexpected is that it has a story. Now I feel like the story could have easily gone a bit wrong. As soon as I realised there's like voice acting and like kind of cutscene type things, I was like, oh, this could be dodgy or cheesy or just like kind of like how Final Fantasy VII had a very high production value. Sometimes in indie games, say, it can make it really obvious when there's a low production value if they do things that aren't as polished. But nah, I really, really enjoyed the story. That voice acting, amazing. I really liked the way that it actually tied into the puzzle game itself very nicely, like without being in your face as well. Like some of the words that you could read around the level actually were very subtle hints to the puzzle that was in front of you, while also making sense in the context of the story. And the whole puzzle, like the whole concept of the world that you are in, is based on the story that is happening. It's a very simple story. It's a story about... Is it spoilers if I tell you? It's a story about a relationship, let me tell you that. And it starts off by telling you about the sketchbook that they were drawing and the things that they would draw. So then basically that kind of explains the world that you are in, right? You are kind of in some sort of strange version of the sketchbook. And the cutscenes were all very like nicely artfully done. And honestly, I just loved everyone. There wasn't a part of it where I was like, oh, that's like either breaking my immersion or anything like that. I just really liked everything to do with the story. It actually really hit me in the feels. Like, I really, really liked it. The puzzles themselves also very good. The main mechanic of the game, that again is very hard to describe, but is to do with size. Like you are in a world within a bigger world within a bigger world, and everything that you do and there's also a smaller version of the world in front of you. And anything you do to the smaller version of the world, or the version that you are in, changes every version of the world, which is a really bad way of describing what this game is about. But that's kind of the best summary that I can come up with. So you can be moving something on this model world in front of you, and you can also see it happening in the real world next to you. And it's like, it is so trippy. And then you use that to solve the puzzles. You can make items bigger and smaller. And it is very, very creative. They use it in a lot of different ways. Unfortunately, they used it in a few different ways that I didn't think of, which made this game quite difficult for me. I did have to look at a walkthrough a few times. I should add in here, I did play the whole game. The VODs are actually up on like Twitch or YouTube if anybody is interested in watching them. Like, I did my Let's Try, but I also just played the whole game in one go. So all the videos are there if anybody would like to see more of the game. But I do recommend also just playing it yourself if you want to, because it is a really nice puzzle game. But back to what I was saying about the mechanics. So they use it in unique ways, and like the game then expands more as you go on and changes a little bit. I got vibes from The Witness, Superliminal, and then I got vibes from We Were Here, and also imagery from Evil Within 2 at one point. I was like, holy crap, this game's going places. And those are the inspirations that I could feel, and I really liked that it could bring those kind of things together. Another thing that I really liked about the puzzle design actually was that the game didn't want to waste your time. It respected your time as a player, and I really respected the game for that. So say I would get stuck, but I would know instantly that there are certain places I don't even need to bother trying to do things or trying to look, because they would block it off for me. So that narrows my options down to where the solution is, instead of me spending forever trying to find something I've missed in places where I would never find it because there's nothing there, you know? And the game did such a good job of that, just literally blocking you out where you don't need to be. I highly, highly appreciated that, because yeah, the game would have probably took me double the time if it didn't do that. Also, even things like the walking speed, it worked very nicely. It was like, you want to get over there? There you go, you don't need to walk super slowly, just go. And I was like, I like that, because some games, when you walk really slowly, it's like, come on. You know, I mean, everybody's had that before. But this one never felt like that. Except, I guess, sort of, what if you were in a bigger world where you were a smaller person, but it makes sense narratively. So I just really appreciated all of this stuff that they could have taken from other games of a similar genre or whatever and been identified what's wrong with these games. Okay, let's fix that in our game, and it feels like they did that. And again, I highly appreciate that. Finally, for Maquette, one last thing that I can think of saying is it's an easy platinum if you like hunting trophies. I really enjoyed getting the platinum for it. Basically, play the game through once yourself. You'll get some, and then the rest is speedrunning stuff and little quirky stuff. But it's easy enough to once you know the answers to the puzzles, it's quite quick. And I really enjoyed doing the speedrunning stuff. It was fun. So it's also an easy platinum if you enjoy that kind of thing. Once again, another really good PS Plus game in my opinion. And the final game of March is Farpoint. It is developed by Impulse Gear and it was released May 2017. This is a PSVR exclusive. This is a game that came out with the aim controller all those years ago. I think it is best played with the aim controller. Unfortunately, you can't use the move controllers in this one. And what I didn't know is you can't use the PS5 controllers with the VR on. So I got the adapter that my PSVR works with my PS5. But yeah, I did not know that you can't use the PS5 controller. So you will need a PS4 controller and you'll need the wire to plug it in so that you can calibrate it to your PS5 or whatever, however that goes. Because yeah, I set it up, I got started, and then I was like, oh no, and I have to find my wire and all of that annoying stuff. But I would like to say that it's worth it. It works way better than I expected. I should actually tell you what the game is. So the game is a first-person shooter. It is set in space, and it actually has a story too, which I also was really enjoying. It's kind of all the setup you need. First-person shooter in space. So now I'll move on to my experience with the game. So yeah, I got the controller set up and everything, started the game. Had no idea that it actually had a story, so the beginning is really cool, I found actually. And everything at first did not feel smooth. Let me just say this, okay? So I had to go into the menu a few times, but once I did this, it made everything so much better. I couldn't move properly, I couldn't turn, sorry. And basically you need to go into the menu. You can decide your turn and options. I guess you can decide whether it's a snap or a smooth turn, I'm not sure. You can also choose your motion blur, you can choose if there's an icon on your screen. And it just changes all of your movement, and it's really important to set that how you want it. and it makes all the difference to your gameplay. So that's what I recommend doing straight away. Just experiment with the settings. It's going to be different depending on how much VR legs you've got as well. I actually found myself like nearly falling over so many times when I was playing this game, because I guess I'm not that used to VR, and I guess the movement speed is like, I wouldn't say it's fast, it's a good speed, but sometimes I felt like my feet were being pulled out from under us, and I was like, whoa. So that's just like another consideration. But honestly, I really enjoyed how this game felt once I'd gotten the settings sorted out. It is a bit awkward on the PS4 controller as well, I found, because I found I had to be holding it tilted and stuff, and that's when I was like, yeah, I wish I had an aim controller. So, but if you have an aim controller, perfect. Although if you do have one, you probably already have this game. So first person shooter was pretty much all there was to it, to be honest. You have a gun, it kind of replenishes, no, it has unlimited ammo, but it overheats if you use it too much, so that's how it manages your ammo. And then you can get like extra ammos, and I assume more guns as you go further into the game, different types. So that makes it more about the shooting, I would say, rather than like having to manage things. Again, I think it gets more in depth as you go on, but just for I played for like 45 minutes or something, and for that amount of time it just felt very fun, and it also felt like I was progressing. So as you go, you figure out more of the story, and I mean, I ended it on a cutscene. I guess it's kind of split into sections, and it's very difficult to explain the story without spoiling things. But to me, just play it. I just want to say to everyone, just play it. It's really fun. There are the things that you are shooting will come at you, might scare you. Actually, you know what? I'm spoiling that. If you are arachnophobic, you're not going to want to play this game. I had read stories of people with their first encounters with this game, so I knew it was coming. And it still got me, and I'm not arachnophobic at all. I have spiders living in my house. Like, I mean, not a spider farm or anything, but the occasional spider, I'll be like, oh yeah, you stay there and get rid of the little insects for me, please. So, like, I like spiders, and it still got me. But it's really cool. It gets you adrenaline going, and I really liked it. Now, the thing that I feel like I started talking about the controls and then I skipped over it. The thing that's really cool is the way that like a first person shooter feels in VR. So like, you're kind of holding your controller, kind of as if it's a gun, I guess. But you don't need to use any buttons or anything to aim. Like, the scope is on the screen. And it actually, if you see my video, it looks different the way that I'm looking at it compared to how the video has recorded it, which is very strange. Like, I am looking directly down my scope, so I can like aim manually, and it is really cool. It's really difficult to explain why that is cool, but it's just like, it frees up what you're doing. So you have your left stick, I mean, it's kind of the same, I guess. You have your left stick to move, you have your right stick to move the camera once you saw the settings out. That's not true. I've forgotten the controls. Jesus Christ. What I'm trying to say though is somehow it frees you up to have more options, because your aiming is done. You don't have to hold a button to aim. You are always aiming if you want to be aiming. Or you can lower your gun and not be aiming. Like, you are doing that manually, and it is just really freaking cool. You are using your head. I mean, this is standard VR stuff, but you are using your head to look around to check whether there are any enemies like around you before you dare walk through these like rocky caves and stuff. And it is just so immersive. And if you've seen any of my previous PS Plus stuff, I'm not a first person shooter fan. I'll play them for this series kind of, but I have never gone back to one. But this one I want to play the whole game. I don't think it's a long game, and I had a lot of fun, and I want to see how it develops, gameplay wise and story wise. So I'm going to stop gushing about these games now and summarize that I think this was a great month for PS Plus. Like, quite outstanding. I know we've said this before, that I feel like they need to step up the game as much as they can, because everyone always talks about Game Pass and how like nothing can compete with it and stuff, and I feel like PS Plus does a really good job of competing with it. Like, I prefer this format personally. I'm not saying it's better, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but they both have a place. And I'm glad that PlayStation is stepping up to make sure that their place is still needed, you know? And it'll be interesting going forward to see how, if they manage to keep this up or if they dip. Because I remember a time where every month everyone was always complaining about the games we were getting. But these last few months, everyone is speaking up about how they are like smashing it out the park, which is really nice. And obviously as a receiver of the games, it is very nice because we got plenty of games to play. This is like the second, was Concrete Genie last month? Like, this is the second month in a row, I think, or at least the second month this year that I have played a full game out of the PS Plus. And last year, I think I had one, it was Fall Guys, maybe another one, I'm not sure, but like already there's been quite a nice variety. I think they could still do with more variety, but I like they're including the indies, they're getting some AAA games in there, some VR, like, and they're not just limiting themselves to the 2 games, because I think that's where there was a bit of detriment as well, because sometimes it's nice to have the extra, like sometimes the indie game is the best game of the month that they give, and they no longer have been given the indie games when there's only 2 games. So I'm extremely glad that they've started giving the indie games, and they always try and make sure there's a PS5 option in there too, which is really nice, which Maquette, I should have mentioned, is like PS5 only this month. So I'm finally kind of early enough to do predictions for next month, because they haven't announced. They will have probably by the time this video goes out, but they always announce on the last Wednesday of the month, and the last Wednesday of the month this month is the last day of the month, so it's really late. So I still have time right now to do predictions. So the ones I've written down over the last couple of months for potential PS Plus games, and ones that I would like to see too. First of all, Darkest Dungeon was one of them. Hitman 2 is another one, because we had Hitman 1. And I would like to see Hitman 2 on there. Darkest Dungeon because I'm pretty sure there's a sequel coming out. I don't know if it's soon. I feel like it's soon. And that was an epic game, so it has been a freebie. Life is Strange 2 is one that I would love to see. They gave Life is Strange 1 a long time ago, and then there's been announcements for more Life is Strange games. So I would like for them to give 2 if they could. That would be super sweet. And another one that I've got on my list is I Expect You to Die, which is a VR game, and a sequel has also been announced, and I would really, really like to play the first one. It is on my list. I just don't really buy games, so hopefully they will give I Expect You to Die 1 month, and I will have a bit of a crack on that, because that looks like a fun game. And my final prediction was Subnautica, which leads me on to my final thing. This has been a long roundup, I'm sorry about that. But my final kind of thing that I want to talk about, it's not PS Plus, but it's PlayStation, is the whole stay-at-home thing they've got going on. Currently, there are many games that they are offering for free. You do not need PS Plus, you just need to claim them, and they are free to keep forever. No strings attached as far as I know. Ratchet & Clank was the first one, well, the first one this year, and that was available for March. Now, they have released 9 more games. I will list them very quickly. Are you ready? Alright, we've got Abzu, The Witness, Enter the Gungeon, Subnautica, Thumper, Res Infinite, Moss, Astrobot Rescue Mission, and Paper Beast. That's 9 games. They're available from the 25th of March till April the 22nd. So if you are listening in between that time, please claim these games. You just get them for free. The Witness has been a PS Plus game before, but you can still claim it so that if your PS Plus subscription runs out, you can still play the game. Abzu has been free somewhere on PC before, but that's a game. I recommend playing that. It's very chill. Enter the Gungeon is quite well known. I think it's bullet hell. It's not for me, but I've still claimed it anyway because I might give it a try. Subnautica, what I just mentioned, is underwater survival game. Again, that's been free on Epic as well, actually, I think. And I tried it on PC and I didn't get away with it, but I'm going to try it again on PlayStation because I think I might like it better with the controller. Probably could have used the controller on my PC, but never mind. We got Thumper and Res Infinite, which are both VR optional. They have flat versions and VR versions. Thumper is a rhythm violence arcade game. Res Infinite is on the rails shooter ? Because I struggled to find out actually what it is. And then the next 3 games are all VR required. Moss is an action adventure puzzle game, 3rd person. Astrobot Rescue Mission is something that I have wanted to play for such a long time now. Well, such a long time. Ever since I played Astro's Playroom on PS5. By the way, everyone play Astro's Playroom. Oh, it is amazing. One of my favourite games. If they put half the amount of love that went into that game, into the VR game, it's going to be amazing. And Paper Beast, which is an exploration and adventure game, which is another game that I had on my radar and I really want to play it. These are all games worth claiming. And even if you don't have a VR, if you plan to get a VR, it's still worth claiming them. And then you have an instant library when you get one. So that's really cool. I think it's a clever move from Sony to do this as well. They have just recently announced like a newer VR that's going to be upcoming. So again, getting people with their libraries ready for either to buy the new PSVR or buy one now. I think it's a really good way of trying to get more people on board with the VR because, again, I haven't shied away from it. It's something that I really like to try and support if I can because it's never going to replace flat gaming. It's not meant to. It's its own thing and it is so worth it. Is the thing. It's hard to get across to people that have never had one of those experiences where it's just like clicks with you, but it's like you can see so much potential and I really like to support like the development of this stuff because it's got so much potential for the future basically. So I see Sony are trying to support it themselves by giving everyone every reason that they can to buy a PSVR, and I get it. I'm here for it. Like, it sucks if you haven't got a VR, but at the same time, these are free games. So it's kind of hard to complain about that. When they've still given 4 games that have no VR in them and 2 that are optional. So I think it's win-win for everyone, really. And then also Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, to finish off this really long roundup, is going to also be free, no PS Plus required, from April 19th. I will mention it again next month. From April 19th to May 14th. So make sure you get on that too, because Horizon Zero Dawn is a game that I expected to come to PS Plus this year. And instead they're just giving it for free. So I cannot complain about that. And that is it. I will stop talking now. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a long one because it's been like quite an eventful month with lots of games. I'm sure PS Plus is trying to kill me. But it's fine because I had a lot of fun. If anybody has any opinions on the games or on PS Plus or on anything that I've talked about, feel free to comment or whatever you want to do. Thank you everybody for the support, and I will see you next month for mysterious games because they have not been revealed yet. Woo! I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye!